Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Joe Mack out of New York. Joe, lots of NFL action, and as we were talking offline, a lot more activity on the field. We are not used to these higher scores.
Yeah, that's true. We were just talking about that. You've got a lot of battles for second-string quarterbacks in, I'd say at least two-thirds of the league right now, and you're getting these second- and third-string quarterbacks coming out and getting the ability and getting the opportunity, really, to chuck it. We were talking about how in Pittsburgh they just beat the Bucs by a couple of points, and they've got a full-scale battle behind Roethlisberger, who, let's face it, he normally misses 3 or 4 games a year in his history. So no more Landry Jones there, so they've got a battle between Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph, who in college was kind of a system quarterback, but I think he's shown some stuff. Anyway, that seems to be the theme for me. You've got a lot of teams who are giving, coaches, offensive coordinators giving their second and third string quarterbacks the opportunity to chuck it, and they're doing it, and we're seeing some decent quarterback play and more points than usual. Again, I'm used to lower scoring, maybe first team to 20 wins, but we've had games here with teams scoring in the 30s and everything, and so we're seeing a little bit more wide open offense and a little more urgency from offensive teams in the early going here of the preseason. I mean, even the other night, the Jet-Giant game in my backyard here, the Jets started Darnold, let him play a little bit, and we saw what the Giants might have in their future, because Daniel Jones, he looked the real deal. Now, granted, he went behind the number 1 offensive line going against the Jets' number 2 defense without any starters on the Jets' defensive front line, but Daniel Jones looked very good. So anyway, that's been my early theme here. We're almost complete through 1 full week of preseason, and we've seen a little bit better offense, a little more efficient quarterback play than I would have anticipated at this early stage.
Yeah, that's a little surprising, but that, like you said, there's going to be a turnover in quarterbacks, and there is more of an urgency to find that second or third string guy that can keep around when the one guy goes down, because we have some aging quarterbacks out there. But even more so, you got some more aggressive play calling. You got the head coaches and the offensive coordinators. Sometimes they're a little bit younger, or a little bit younger thinking than they had been in the past. So you got to see a little bit more upscale the type of football. And this is early; it's only the first week, so that is surprising. We might see some.
Right. Well, we got a sign though, Jim, in the off season that we were going to see a little bit more offense to these coaches. I mean, again, you got Cliff Kingsbury coaching the Cardinals. You've got Adam Gase coaching the Jets. You've got some guys, relatively young in their career or brand new in their career. Most of them have a kind of an offensive bent to their game. So you're going to see them being as aggressive as they can be early on in the preseason. And so you're getting a good amount of points. I mean, I'm just looking through the schedule here. You have the Giants, Patriots, Browns, Dolphins all scoring in the 30s, and then a couple of teams on Friday night. The Steelers scored 30 and the Vikings 34. So you're getting, yes, you're right. I mean, not only the head coaches that I'm naming, but the offensive coordinators that you're naming, they've really kind of got something to prove. So why not prove it right from the start of the preseason? So they're showing, not to say they're tipping their hand, but they're showing that, hey, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to pass the ball 60, 65% of the time and let our quarterback ding it around the park a bit.
Well, that's really where we're at. And baseball, is anybody going to stop the New York Mets?
I'll tell you, last night was probably their most exciting win of the year. I was watching. They were down 6-3 going into the ninth, and they were facing a Washington closer in Sean Doolittle, who to me is total hit or miss. I mean, their bullpen has not been great all year, Washington, and it was just a thrilling comeback for the Mets, and they've had everything going right. I mean, since the All-Star break, they're like 20-8. Their team ERA is the best in baseball. And I'll tell you what, to be honest, it's about time, because this starting rotation has been hyped to no end for the last 5 years here in New York. And and we're finally getting every guy basically pitching well at the same time. Now, the new guy they got, Stroman from Toronto, he was average at best last night, had a couple of rocky innings, threw a lot of pitches. And the left-hander Matz has been a little up and down in his last 3 starts. But the combination of DeGrom and Syndergaard and Wheeler, they've been tremendous since basically 4th of July. And, the New York Mets fans have been waiting for a long time to see these guys kind of match their potential, and it's happening now. And, they're making a major run here at a wild card that, heck, a month ago, there were 10 teams ahead of them in the wild card race, and they were, I believe, 8.5 or 9 back of that second wild card spot. So they're right there now. A lot of fun, making folks a lot of money. And last night, in that game where they came back from the dead and where Stroman pitched against Strasburg, the Mets were actually home dogs, which surprised me a little bit. So, heck, they're cashing for people. They've had to lay a few big prices against the Pirates and White Sox lately, but otherwise, the Mets have been obviously a wonderful investment for the last month.
And the out on the other coast, Los Angeles had another brouhaha, and then Kenley Jensen blew another save.
Yeah, that's a major concern for the Dodgers. I don't know why they've kind of tiptoed around it. I mean, I've heard the manager, Dave Roberts, on a couple interviews in the last 2 weeks. He keeps claiming, of course, publicly, he has a lot of confidence in Jansen. I don't know how you can have any confidence in him. I mean, I really think they should have, not to say sold the farm, but they really should have traded away a prospect or two and gotten some kind of relief help. I say that, and then I know that the Atlanta Braves traded some young talent for Green from Detroit, and then he went off in his first 2 relief appearances as a Brave. He got lit up pretty good. That's the guy that I was thinking the Dodgers he'd be a fit. I think there's a lot of ego there. The Dodgers didn't really want to be in position to tell Jansen he was going to be the 8th inning guy or maybe even the 7th inning guy, but they're taking a chance. I mean, this Dodger team that's had so many walk-off wins, so many dramatic moments, to me, you look at a team like that and you say, hey, it's their year. Finally, in 31 years, it's their year. But you know what? You get to the postseason, even if they get to a 3rd straight World Series. If I'm a Dodger fan, I don't want to see him out there in the 9th inning, up 4-3 to start the 9th inning against, say, the Astros in the World Series. I wouldn't trust him. And boy, if it comes down to that, and he blows 1 or 2 games, let's say in the World Series, and they don't win it this year, they are really, really going to rue the day that they didn't make a trade for a better closer at the deadline.
I've been anti-Kenley Jensen for a long time. I just don't think he performs under pressure at the right times, and I really would not want to trust my franchise to him. And I really got to knock Dave Roberts for that, because he's held on to him and trusted him, and I think it's been a real bonehead move, and it's probably going to end up costing, unless they win the World Series, it's probably going to cost him his job, and it should. But
yeah, you know what? And you do wonder, though, because the Dodgers are one of those teams, and there's probably at least 6 or 8 of them, Jim, in Major League Baseball, where, let's face it, it's pretty well known that the general manager or the front office kind of calls a lot of shots and stuff. So you wonder, are they telling Roberts, hey, you're sticking with Jansen, and we're gonna do or die with him, or is this Roberts, showing faith or whatever? I mean, but we've seen that this year in baseball, not only in LA. I mean, we've seen it with the Mets. I mean, they keep going back to Edwin Diaz, and he's been a disaster for the Mets this year. Even across town with the Yankees, Chapman's numbers look better than he's pitched. He's in trouble every time he's out there, and you just wonder, do they just feel like, hey, he's our quote closer, so he has to be the guy that gets the job done, or do you start to get to the point where you're like, hey, you know what? He's not getting the job done. Half the time he's out there, he's life or death to get through, to get 3 outs, and maybe you got to put somebody else out there. But you've seen some teams really hold true to their closer, and they've kind of sunk or swam with them, and other teams are saying, listen, this is not our guy. They get away from him. The Dodgers have shown that commitment. I guess you give him a little credit for showing that loyalty, but I'm with you. I mean, I've never. It's not that I don't like him as a closer for the Dodgers overall, but I think he's had too many moments in the last 3 years where he shows that he can't be trusted at a big spot, and that's why I don't give him any more leeway. If I'm the Dodgers, I make some kind of move. You know, I know they can't make personnel moves. There's no trades right now, but you got to have something happen. Either one of your starters has to get into that role. Maybe this new kid, May, who started a couple of games, maybe he's the answer. I don't know. But we've seen it happen. I mean, heck, we saw years ago, about 10 years ago, Tampa Bay put David Price in there, and he pitched some monster postseason games against the Red Sox. We've seen other teams, throw young guys out there and basically say, rescue us, because our closer can't do the job. You might see that with the Dodgers come October.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Joe. Thank you for that. Anything else you want to cover today? And tell me a little bit about Jim Hurley Sports and what you got going on.
All right. Well, Jim Hurley's network's been around for a long time, since 1985. As I told you in our last podcast, I've been with the company now 25 years. I tell you, we do very well in football all year. We do very well in the preseason. We're hitting about 65% in preseason if you go back the last 6-7 years. And we're off to a good start here. We've had a couple of nice totals winners this week. We had under in the Ravens game the other night against Jacksonville. We hung on there, 29-0 final. We gave out the under 30.5. Friday night we cashed for the total. We easily won over with the Steelers, and that game against Tampa Bay where the Steelers wound up winning 30-28. The total there was 37.5, so we won that in a breeze. We've got lots of winners all preseason long, and obviously we got a lot of baseball winners. All you got to do, folks, is call us toll free. That's 800-323-4453. Or else you can go on our website. That's jimhurley.com, JIMHURLEY.com, 800-323-4453. And, we shouldn't forget, Jim, I mean, it's coming fast and furious. The college football season starts Saturday, August 24th already. Got 2 games that kind of stand alone there, but one of them is a doozy. Florida is playing Miami. The game's going to be played in Orlando, neutral site. You got Florida being a 7-point favorite right now. You also got a game out in the 50th state. Arizona is right now an 11-point favorite at Hawaii. So college football is right here. I know everybody, I got friends this week telling me, I'm getting a little bored of it. It's always Alabama, Clemson. I said, let me tell you something. It might be Alabama, Clemson in the final again this year, but you're going to have a handful of big-name teams that are going to be threatening to get into that final game. I mean, you got Ohio State, Michigan, both look like they're top 5 type of teams. Oklahoma looks like a top 5 type of team. So maybe you want to say the same old suspects, but it's going to be an exciting year. Probably, as we touched on with the NFL preseason, it's probably going to be a pretty high-scoring year. You got a lot of quality quarterbacks, including the kid at Alabama. Tua is... Right now, he was the Heisman leader all along, but right now the betting slight favorite is the Clemson quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. I notice he's down to about 2.5 to 1. So you got stars galore is basically what I'm saying. You've got a lot of quarterbacks around the country who are in the Heisman race. In fact, I just posted on our Jim Hurley website the top 10 or 12 odds guys for the Heisman, and just about all of them are quarterbacks, including one Georgia quarterback in Josh Fromm and one former Georgia quarterback in Justin Fields, who now plays for Ohio State. I think you're going to see a lot of points in college football this year, and I think you're going to see some real premium play from the quarterback position. And don't be surprised if we get to New York City in mid-December for the Heisman Award, and you've got like 5 quarterbacks sitting there waiting to see if they're the winner. So it's going to be an exciting year, and like I said, it all gets underway quickly. I mean, it's Saturday, August 24th, so I mean, we are 2 weeks out from the college football season. Exactly,
14 days away, and it's going to be exciting. And listening to what you had to say there, it's going to be an exciting year. I'm looking forward to it. Lots of activity. We should see a lot of scores up there, and Joe, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Everybody go to jimhurley.com, call that phone number, and and then I think there's Vegas Sports Masters also is in the mix, so you can get Joe's picks there as well. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a great day, Jim. Thanks so much.
You too, pal. And you can get my plays at jimfeist.com.